Good morning, everybody. My name is Allie, and I am an alcoholic. What does that even mean? How did I come to that conclusion? And let's talk about it. I'm going to read from chapter 3 in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and this describes it pretty well, and then I'll share my personal experience with it. More about alcoholism. Most of us have been unwilling to admit we were real alcoholics. No person likes to think that she is bodily and mentally different from her fellows. Therefore, it's not surprising that our drinking careers have been characterized by countless vain attempts to prove that we could drink like other people. The idea that somehow, someday, she will control and enjoy her drinking is the great obsession of every abnormal drinker. The persistence of this illusion is astonishing. Many pursue it into the gates of insanity or death. We learned that we had to fully concede to our innermost selves that we were alcoholics. This is the first step in recovery. The delusion that we are like other people, or presently may be, has to be smashed. We alcoholics are men and women who have lost the ability to control our drinking. We know that no real alcoholic ever recovers control. All of us felt at times that we were regaining control, but such intervals, usually brief, were inevitably followed by still less control, which led in time to pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. We are convinced to a man that alcoholics of our type are in the grip of a progressive illness. Over any considerable period, we get worse, never better. We are like men who have lost their legs. They never grow new ones. Neither does there appear to be any kind of treatment which will make alcoholics of our kind like other women. We have tried every imaginable remedy. In some instances, there have been brief recovery, followed always by a still worse relapse. Physicians who are familiar with alcoholism agree there is no such thing as making a normal drinker out of an alcoholic. Science one day may accomplish this, but it hasn't done so yet. Despite all we can say, many who are real alcoholics are not going to believe they are in that class. By every form of self-deception and experimentation, they will try to prove themselves exceptions to the rule, therefore non-alcoholic. If anyone who is showing inability to control her drinking can do the right about face and drink like a gentleman, our hats are off to him. Heaven knows we have tried hard enough and long enough to drink like other people. Here are some of the methods that we have tried. Drinking beer only, limiting the number of drinks, never drinking alone, never drinking in the morning, drinking only at home, never having it in the house, never drinking during business hours, drinking only at parties, switching from scotch to brandy, drinking only natural wines, agreeing to resign if ever drunk on the job, taking a trip, not taking a trip, swearing off forever with and without a solemn oath, taking more physical exercise, reading inspirational books, going to health farms and sanitariums, aka rehabs, accepting voluntary commitment to asylums. We could increase the list ad infinitum. And as for me, this alcoholic, I tried every remedy I could think of to not be alcoholic. I did not like that word. I do not like how it is portrayed in the movies. A low-life stinky bum underneath the bridge drinking out of a bottle, homeless. That was not my experience. But what I've learned is that once I start drinking, I am never satisfied. There is never enough. I love the feeling produced by alcohol / other substances. Anything that takes me out of myself, anything that helps me not feel ordeal, anything that helps me feel better instantly. I like the cheat shortcut to feeling good. I want to feel good all the time. That would be wonderful. However, my life and things that have happened in my life, I believe that I've suffered with depression, sadness, anxiety, all those wonderful things that are so common today. And in the beginning, alcohol was absolutely the answer for me. The first time I took a drink, it was like, oh, I went straight to happiness, joy, fun, and I like to call it, I don't give a shit Bill. I like to hang out there. I like to dance there. I feel great there. And it worked for me for a long time. The reason I started drinking, I was a mother of 3. I had a child, a micropreemie, die And I was a very religious woman. I went to church every week. Like, my life's plan was set. When my child died in my arms at 21 weeks of gestation, my world shifted, and God had failed me. Like, what the hell? This was not my plan. It came out of left field, rocked my world. Sadness and despair was a whole new experience. We went on a family trip to Florida, and I saw a sign on the beach that said happy hour. Drinks were half price. And in my religion, drinking is not a thing. You're not supposed to drink alcohol. And I had been a good girl, and I had listened and obeyed all the teachings. And then when my child died, I just thought, F this. God failed me. And I'm a all or nothing kind of gal. I'm all in or I'm all out. And when I saw that sign that said happy hour, I thought, I could use a happy hour. And I convinced my husband at the time to go have a drink. And it worked. Boy, did it work. It worked so well, I had another and another. And I felt good. I did not feel sad. I had energy, and the pain went away for a little while. I was able to escape it. I was able to avoid it. And as time progressed, we started drinking when we went back home to Utah, and I completely abandoned my religion. I lost faith. God could kiss my ass. How dare he take a child from me? Like, that was my Achilles heel. People were not kind to me. I had a very sick child in my womb, and I was told to end the pregnancy. And that was against anything and everything I had ever believed. The baby had spina bifida. She had a hole in her back. She was getting water on the brain. She was not going to survive. Infection was a real possibility, which would have spread to me and could have killed me as well. And I was advised by every professional to induce labor and basically terminate the pregnancy. And it was heartbreaking. That's an understatement. There's just not a big enough word for the devastation and the despair. And I had 3 other children to care for, and that's what we did. After much prayer and tears and meditation and sitting and alone and despair, that's what we did. And the baby died in my arms. And anyway, that led to alcohol because it worked. And as time progressed, I needed more of that substance because I became physically dependent on it. I had a physical reaction when I did not have it in my system. It took about 4 years for this to progress. I started drinking in 2004, and in 2009, I had gained probably about 80 pounds. I had lost my zest for life. Somewhere in that journey, alcohol started turning on me. It wasn't fun anymore. I was avoiding my family. I had started neglecting my children. I experienced my first blackout. I had peed myself. All these, like the big book says, incomprehensible demoralization. I started saying things to people that I didn't remember. I started having conversations and emails, and anger would come out. Hurt would come out when I was drunk, and I would not remember those conversations the next day. I would watch movies with my children and not remember that we had watched them. I did not want that to happen. I did not mean for that to happen. I did not know when that was going to happen, but it started becoming more and more frequent. I remember one day waking up on the floor in my son's bedroom, and woke up and I had no recollection of going in and sleeping on the floor. I would turn into someone else when I was drinking. I knew that my body was shutting down, and I had decided to, it was a point where I was going to decide to live or die, and I knew that I needed to quit. I remember closing my eyes and praying to a God that I was very angry at, to the universe. I thought, okay, I'm going to try this one more time before I completely succumb to alcoholism. I closed my eyes and I saw darkness, and literally 2 capital letter A's, they were white, came in my head. And I thought, what is this? Truthfully, I thought, what is AA? I was like, American Airlines? I swear to you. And I was like, oh, Alcoholics Anonymous. Great. What does that even mean? What do I do? How do I start? And I ended up through a series of events. I did not call the hotline. I did not dare to call the hotline. Are you kidding me? I think I'm an alcoholic. I might be an alcoholic. What does that even mean? What an alcoholic is once I start, I put that elixir, powder, whatever, into my system, I want more. I want more and more and more. And it's never enough. The hole in my soul I'm trying to fill cannot be satisfied. I needed it at that time to survive. However, now it had turned on me without my permission, and I needed to find a new solution. And I walked into my first AA meeting, and I sat in the back and I watched these crazy people. And a woman stood up and shared, and she talked about how she had neglected her children due to alcoholism, and that she was very shameful and remorseful that she had hurt the people that she loved and didn't mean to, but alcohol turned her into somebody else. She said mean things, she blacked out, and she looked up at the rafters at the top of that church I was in, and she said she had fantasized about killing herself from those rafters. And I remember looking at her thinking, how dare she say that out loud in front of all these people? The bravery, like she was saying everything out loud that I had kept secret in my head. And these people, some of them chuckled, and I thought they were laughing at her and how rude and insensitive that was, but they weren't. They were identifying, they could relate. And at the end, they circled up and everybody held hands and said the Serenity Prayer, which I thought was a little weird. But it was something that I was craving. I don't know. The energy in there, it felt safe. It felt welcoming. It felt weird. The level of honesty that I experienced there was like nothing else. I went to Alcoholics Anonymous. I started July 27, 2009, and I stayed sober. I jumped in head first into the deep end, and I got a sponsor, and I worked the steps, and it worked. And I started healing, and I started feeling better, and I started feeling happy, and I was married to someone at the time who decided not to get sober and drank in front of me every single day. And I was able to stay sober with the help of the fellowship and specifically the women and my sponsor and the steps. They worked. It is now 2024 and I'm 2.5 years sober. I learned that once I step away from the fellowship, once I step away from the meetings, start thinking I'm cured, start thinking I've got this, I have enough self-knowledge, I can go to church, a new church, a different church, and get spirituality there. But I've learned the hard way that every time I step away from the fellowship, the steps, my sponsor, I've fallen flat on my face, and I've relapsed, and I've caused more damage. So what I've learned the hard way again and again is I am an alcoholic. Once I start, I can't stop. One drink is never enough. One hit is never enough. One line is never enough. One pill is never enough because I like it. I like how it makes me feel. It helps me escape the world. It helps me escape my pain. However, my pain set and camps out and waits for me and festers and grows mold and waits for me to sober up. And then it's still sitting right there. So there is no cheap way through life. Sobriety is for awesome, badass, strong souls. Once we decide to put the drink / other substances down and face ourselves, it is so powerful. It is so beautiful. It is so badass. It is such a beautiful life. I am so grateful to be here. That is why I'm doing this, because I have been gifted life, and it would be horrible of me not to try to share the message of hope. There is hope. There is always hope. If you're breathing, you're on this side of the dirt, there is hope. And that is my hope and my message. And I want you to know that you have value. I'm still working through that, because my heart and my head tell me two different things. My head can be mean and destructive and hurtful, but my heart, my soul, my conscience, my spirit, that is directly linked to Mother Earth, to God, to Buddha, to karma, to anything universal and loving, is the truth. We have value simply for the fact that we were created, period. This is a tough world, and there's a lot of hurt and pain and sadness, but it is also a beautiful world where there is love and hope and a way to do life with peace and calm and serenity. I promise you, because I've experienced both many times. That is my message for today. Thank you for listening. If I can be of service or help, we'll continue this path together, because I can't do it alone. And I have been given so much that this is my attempt on giving back. Have a blessed day.